And who knows where we'll see her grow next. So I'm so happy and grateful that she's been able to join our team on Tuesday nights and be able to bring us the value with the HFX side. She knows so much. She's just always studying and everything. And, she's really good at trading, guys. So take out your notes. And this is your time. This is your time to ask any questions it is that you have in regards to HFX. Like, there's always basics that you have to learn. Like if you understand and master the basics, you're golden. So this right here is your chance. Like if you're on the Go Lives and stuff like that, they're amazing. However, you can't really sit there and ask the educator questions. And right now she's going to be opening it with the Q&A. So this is a chance for you guys to really open up and ask questions, and anything it is that you need, take notes, because this is for you guys, okay? So the person that I am bringing up is none other than Carmen, HFX Queen. She is so amazing. Thank you so much, Carmen, for spending your Tuesday nights with us. I know I would truly appreciate it, and I know Bezzy does too. So without further ado, I'm going to let you take it away. Thank you.
Awesome, love. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for the edification. Sheesh, that just gets me to re-sign up all over again. So guys, thank you so much for hopping on another Tuesday tonight, HFX special. So guys, I did want to open tonight's call with a Q&A, but before we actually get the call started, I want to know in the chat box who is actually, this is your first time actually on tonight's call. If this is your first time on here, please type in a 111 in the chat box. I want to make sure I'm able to welcome you guys. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh shoot, hold on guys, give me 1 second. I'm trying to remove do you know how to remove the spotlight, Steph, by any chance? I don't know if I just removed it myself.
I had removed it. Oh crap! I had removed it earlier. But your screen is showing up. Like your face is on spotlight.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, guys, welcome. So we see we have a few actually new family members in today's Down to the Basics. So I'm very excited, especially starting off with this Q&A, because definitely if you guys have not yet started actually going through all the HFX Academy educational videos, right, or actually hopped on your first Go Live session, I'm actually very excited for you guys to actually go ahead and do so. You guys have so many more resources, right, than when I started, right? When I started, there was still a lot of development. HFX was not HFX yet, right? So seeing the evolution of it and just how many more resources and products we have available, you guys are honestly in the best hands. You guys have the best vehicle to reach any financial goals you guys can possibly have. And what better way to do it than to do it in minutes, right? That's one reason why I fell in love with HFX, right? Not to say, I'm actually branching out now, going back to test the harmonic scanner, right? Tapping into DCX as well, because crypto is booming, right? So there's so many different products, so many different platforms that you guys can be making money. If you're honestly not making money, it's a reflection on your action to actually partake in bringing in that income, right? Because at the end of the day, you have people coming in with no education, no previous knowledge or experience, and literally becoming profitable in 24 hours, right? That's how easy it really is to become profitable. You just got to put your share of the time, right? So now, welcome to all of you. We got Anthony, Patricia, the Pow Dodds, we have Anthony, Terry. Welcome. So guys, today, like I said, I wanted to start off the call by having it as a Q&A. So feel free in the chat box to start writing your questions in, right? I want you guys to start typing in your questions. I'm going to kind of start going through the very basics of one of the strategies. I think it's very important to retouch on the simple scalper, just because a lot of individuals actually use that strategy, especially for those individuals who actually hop on either Millie or Nez's sessions on Go Live, right? Both those educators actually use that strategy. It's where I actually learned the strategy myself, right, from both of them. And really just adding your own twist and sauce to it. That's all it is, guys. The more you guys put pressure into having to learn it, the harder it's going to be to learn it, right? You're going to be putting a barrier without even intentionally doing it, blocking your ability to actually retain the information, right? And actually apply it. Because what good is it if you guys are hopping on these calls, not taking notes and not applying in the information, right? And you're still taking lessons when you're trading on your own. The point here is to teach you the basics to excel and master the basics, because once you have mastered the basics, you're able to then increase, right, your outcomes, right? Increasing your overall accuracy rate percentage wise, right? You're getting one step closer to 5 and 6 figures. I mean, who is not ready to crack 6 figures, 7 figures in 2021? I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, drop some fire emojis in the chat box, because I've already claimed it. It's already been manifested, not only for myself, but our entire organization, right? It is our time. We have the vehicle. Now it's time to put some NOS and let's get to work, right? It's time to drive. You guys can take this at the pace you want. Just know the more you apply yourself, the more freedom you will have, right? Not only financially and time-wise. So guys, take this very seriously. There's so much opportunity coming in 2021, guys, that I honestly can't stay still. I can't sleep. I just had breakfast maybe 10 minutes ago. Insane, right? But when you're busy, right? You know where your goals are at. Between mom life, teacher life, right? And then being a mentor and still being a person overall, right? You have to learn how to micromanage these areas. So really invest the time to master it. Do not rely on the educators to be your only leverage of being able to trade. I mean, guys, a few weeks ago, I drove to Vegas, paid for the trip on the way there, didn't gamble because I took my kids with me, right? Not my favorite Vegas experience, but it was great. I made the best of it, and I made money on the way back home. So let's say Vegas was still a great experience, right? Still paid myself on the way, didn't lose any, it take no lessons, right? So it was a great trip overall, guys. So just know that by actually investing some time, you guys will be able to have the liberty of making money from anywhere, right? You see so many mentors and leaders, right, on these calls, trading at airports, trading in hotels, right? And making money. It's not rocket science. So we're going to get to the basics tonight. So I actually have one question so far. What is the best way to determine a good entry point? I struggle with my entry a bit. Definitely. So depending on the actual strategy that I'm using, or if I'm using one of the products, I base it off of that. No, Mom, go take care of your brother, please. So I base it off of that. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And I'm going to target it as far as the simple scalper goes. Let's see. All right. Let's see here. So for example, I base it a lot off of support and resistance and where it aligns itself based off of the opening and closing of the candles. Right. I usually start off, right. I don't normally do it, but when I really do take time to really do a full analysis, right. Because you don't need a full analysis to trade in minutes, right. Like you essentially would if you want to hold a position for a longer period of time. However, if I'm really trying to just sit down and trade an hour, just to kind of ride the wave of the market, then I initially, you know, will take some time to, how do you say it? Chart up in higher time frames, right? I usually don't go beyond the 5 minutes. Sometimes I would leverage the 15 and 30 minute if I'm using a product, right? Essentially, if I'm rolling over in a position, that's when I would essentially do it. But to find my entry point, I literally base it off of support and resistance, right? And kind of where the opening and closing of these candles have been, right? And based off of that is how I target it, right? However, one key thing to do is, right, that when you are looking on your trade, and I was actually waiting for this trade to happen, but essentially, right, when you guys, don't know whose number is that. So essentially, when you guys are looking at the market, there are going to be times where trading's view, right, or your product essentially would match your race option broker or your pocket options broker, right? Usually you will most often see, right, that it is off by a quite a few pips, right? And I'm not meaning like a drastic amount. Sometimes it could be literally 0.00005, right? But it's definitely very important to make sure and track that, right? Because right now, for example, we're looking at USD CAD and it's around the 739 area, right? And you can see here it's at 742. See, so there's a few pips in differentiation. So that's one of the key things to look at to make sure, right? So for example, here we see that it's previously touched, right, at 746. If I had all my indications, right, if this was already getting set up for a sell, right, I see here based off on trading view that it's not ready just quite yet, right? Even though it's pretty high on race option, I'd be like, oh, I could take the sell now, right? But for my entry, I get very, very picky with my entries, right? So essentially what I'll do, I'll see, okay, it's been at 746. It went all the way up to 748. How high would I want to wait to see this? Well, at first I want trading's view to kind of match it, right? So I want this to get as close as possible, right, to that area. As we can see, it's actually dropping right now. Not all the time will it come up. I would base it off of what is being repeated, right, on race options. So let's say, for example, let's see a $10 trade. Let's see right there. I'm gonna go ahead and put a put, right? I put a 1 minute put, right? We can see that this market came up higher and initially you can break out of the support and go on to the next one, which essentially would just require me to roll over. As you guys can see, it happens to all of us. A lot of people say, oh my God, well, I took a trade and essentially it just shot up, right? Can I go in on a second entry for a pullback? Absolutely, you most definitely can. However, just be conscious of the amount, right? Because every time you guys essentially roll over, right, which is this button here, which if you're new, it just signifies that you're adding additional time to your trades, right? So it's adding double the time. So initially, for example, if you did a 1 minute position, now it's a 2 minute position. If you initially had a 2 minute position, now it's a 4 minute position, but every rollover increases 30% of your initial investment. So for example, if you put in a $10 trade for a 1 minute position, you rolled over, now your trade is 2 minutes, right? Let me actually go ahead and roll over one more time, even though I think it's going to go ahead and essentially tank like crazy, but that's fine. More time just means more, more wiggle room for you to essentially have this market come down, right? So now this turned into about a 4 minute trade, which is still minutes, right? So do not get hesitant. Look, like I said, in profits, right? So do not get hesitant when looking at this, right? And not knowing, because rolling over can definitely blow your account. Let's just speak facts, right? It can definitely blow your account. And reason being is because you're adding 30% more. So now a $10 trade after a first rollover, right, is now a $13 trade. You roll over it once more, and now it's a $16.90 trade, and it's a 4 minute position, right? So let me see if actually I'm able to get, let's see, we have one in the chat box. Where can I find the recording of this call? It will be dropped in down to the basics chat. That's where we normally share it. I will share the link as soon as I get this uploaded for once the call concludes. So as you guys can see, currently still here in profits. Any other questions you guys can possibly have, please let me know. As you guys can see, started off as a $10, now it's a $16.90 trade. So guys, essentially I'm gonna start just kind of briefly going over the basics and why is it that I actually got that entry and how is it that I took that trade, right? And how did I know if I should have rolled over? As you guys can see, I would have already been cleared that trade, right? Easily cleared that trade, right? As soon as I had rolled over, this slightly came down, came right back up, and then essentially tanked, right? And I actually said it would happen on the call, and that's absolutely fine, right? If you did your proper analysis, then you shouldn't sweat it, because you can then confirm, right, by looking at the 3 minutes saying, okay, well, it's resisted right around here, so this is my safety zone. And as you guys can see, it's still dropping on the 3 minute, right? Still dropping on the 1 minute, right? So here's how I essentially did it, right? I like to always confirm on the 1 and 3 minutes, just to make sure that my market is still going to keep dropping and that I don't really have to, stress too much about it. So as we can see here, the market is pushing right back up, which initially makes absolute sense, right? And the reason being is because it touched my line of support, right? So you guys can honestly be profitable in a 1-2 flip, right? I want to actually check this. So it should be clearing in just about 5 seconds or so. So guys, this is how you guys can honestly catch really quick back-to-back trades, right? Really quick back-to-back trades. Here a sell, here a buy. 2 trades, you're done in a few minutes, 4 minutes. Look, clear the trade position right there. Few minutes. So how is it? What is the basics? Let me see here. I think we have some participants. Adamant. Sheesh, and this thing is still dropping. Look at that. Look at that. Let's go. Sheesh. If anyone took that trade, let me know, because I don't know. I feel like some of you are on another level of trading that you guys would have potentially taken that trade with us. So guys, it's honestly that easy, and let me explain why I took that position, right? As you guys can see, this is still dropping as we speak. Admitting. Awesome. So as you guys can see, sheesh, this market is still, yo, it's just a matter of time. Just imagine if I would have rolled over one more position. Massive profits. These are the marks. Sometimes we get so focused on doing 1-minute trades rather than increasing our accuracy rate. 1-minute trades are fun. Oh, I love them. They give you heart attacks though. No matter how long you've been trading for, you still get them to a certain level, right? But the key here, guys, is to learn how to control that, how to really remain calm as you guys are taking these trades and when you're doing a clear analysis, right? If you're having a bad day, don't trade. Still hop on a Go Live session. Still stay consistent, right? Because the more you continue to hear the information over and over and over again, right, you're going to retain it. As you guys hear this information, repeat it to yourselves constantly, right? Before it wasn't about HFX recordings, right? We had a strategy and it was one video, right? One video broke down the steps. Then Nez went through it and broke it down, right? Through the point system. Then I just added my own sauce to something that made sense to me, right? It's just like when people drive. Different people drive different styles, right? Some people like one hand, some like two hands, some likes putting, 10 and 2, some likes the top, some like the bottom, some like the middle, some drive with their knees, it is what it is. Sheesh, look at that. Golly, could have gone in back to back for the buy and sell. Look at that. That's gorgeous. The market's moving actually pretty dang nice, if you say for me right now. I usually don't trade during the day, right? And that's just because I have madness going on with the kids. That's another thing too, learning how to really set a trading schedule where you really have no distractions, right? Maybe later on, obviously, as you get practice, and even then I still wouldn't recommend it, right? Because my kids are a huge distraction, and the least slightest distraction can throw off your trading game completely for that session, right? So guys, one key thing here, right, for down to the basics, and this is the key thing here, is consistency, right? But here are some steps, and I want you guys to write them down. I don't care how long you've been trading for, I consistently write these steps down, because if I lose track of one of these steps, I will see a huge difference in my trading account, right? We started this $250 account with the organization, right, to start trading, right, on compounding our accounts. Boom, funded at $250. I think it's over 800 right now. Amazing what compounding can do in just a matter of weeks, right? So here, first and foremost, leave the emotions out. Leave the emotions out. Trading could be very addicting. Very addicting. So make sure you draw a fine line between this is your business and this just is something I do for pleasure, and see if maybe I come out in greens. No, we want greens every single time, right? So now from here, family, right? How I do that? How do I get into a headspace of controlling my emotions and leaving the emotions out? Well, it's hard. That's why I tend to trade at night, where there's no noise, there's no ruckus going around. I don't hear my dog barking, I don't hear my kids crying or yelling or fighting. I don't hear nothing, It's me. I like to hear to some tunes, right? Just vibing to some music. That's why on calls like Score 24, like tonight, right? You're going to hear majority of the time of me playing music in between as I'm talking, right? Because it zens me out. It really puts me in a position where I'm not stressing so much about the markets and looking at it move every little pip. My mind is focused on knowing the trade will take place once I have my confirmations. It's just a matter of time. 2, setting a trading schedule, organizing yourself with time, right? 3, putting in time to actually master the strategy. It's not just going to come to you. This is a new language. Once you guys master this language, the game is over. The game is over, right? Step 3, take lots of notes and write so many questions and never, I see your questions in the chat, guys, and I'm going to get through them, right? Write as many questions as you can. No question is too dumb. And no matter how many times, I've had times where I asked Millie 1,000 times the same question and I just couldn't understand it. And it took one of 2 options, either my own trial and error, because you have to put in the lessons. You have to pay your tuition to get to 7 figures. This ain't just going to be handed to you. These educators do their very best to dedicate their time, which is worth a lot of money, right? So make sure you guys are taking advantage of calls like these, advantage of, having a mentor, right? Leverage. Ask as many questions, because if you stay with one question, that could be that one question that's holding you back from excelling in trading. It could be that one thing that once you get the answer to can bring you so much more clarity. Guys, it happened to me one day, literally in the shower. I'm not even BSing. I was literally in the shower thinking about a lesson I had just had, right? And I'm like, how did this come about? How could I have prevented it? That's the one thing you guys need to do with these lessons. Just don't take the lessons and keep repeating the same lessons, right? Learn the lesson in the lesson. That's why we got the learn to earn. You got to take the lesson and know the lesson to then start paying yourself out. Because if you lose a train, you're like, okay, next one. Okay, whoop-de-woo, I'll go ahead and answer, ask someone later on at a good time, right? No, that could limit your ability of excelling at a much higher pace. Now, with that being said, guys, right, learning the lessons, journaling everything down. There's a compounding plan. I know they just dropped it in the chats last night after the compounding trading call, right? Really use it. See how accurate you actually are. It's not a lot of people are like, I'm clearing 12 and 1, but you're only taking $5 trades. That's amazing. You're increasing your accuracy. Practice until you feel confident to start trading on your own. Don't go in and throw a $100 trade and this is your first week trading on your own, right? Gradually build yourself. Those payouts will come. Now, stick to 3 to 5%. 3 to 5%. If you start off at 3, if you roll over twice, perfect. You're still within your 5%. Do not over leverage your account. This is not to get rich overnight, right? So now, off of that, journaling will help you also notice patterns in the market. Keynote, a lot of people ask me, is there a good time of day to trade? Is there a good day of the week to trade? Is there a day to avoid trading, right? Your journal will tell you that. For me, my journal told me do not trade Sundays as soon as the market opens. It told me not to trade on Fridays right before the market closes, right? It told me not to trade, right, between, I think it's like 10 and 12 my time, because there's a lot of news hitting during those time frames. Journal everything down and you'll see what days you shouldn't trade, what times you shouldn't trade, and what times and days it's been hitting. For me, it's usually every day after 7 p.m. PST, which is 10 p.m. Eastern time. Anytime after that, if I'm in Z mode, it's done. I'm literally stealing the markets right then and there. If you're not feeling it, don't do it. You got tomorrow. But still work on yourself in one way or another. If you didn't want to trade, that's fine. You are not in the right mindset to do it, but still work on it so that you can check yourself, so that tomorrow you are in the right mindset and you've already excelled one step ahead. So now I'm going to go ahead and start going through the questions, guys. I just wanted to give you guys those key steps that I go through, the checklist that I go through each and every single day. Let's see, what is it? Let's see, where can I find it? 1 minute trades are amazing. I love them, especially when you're trapping the market. Let's see. I don't mess with 1 minute trades. When you have most of your confirmations, but with the stochastic moving slower than the rest, how comfortable would you be to get on a trade and not missing the entry? Awesome question. So one key thing that I like to do, as you know, stated, the stochastic does move a lot slower, and as mentioned previously, right, the RSI is definitely a monster. So how do we know if you've already missed it, the train's already left the station, and you know, you're like, you know what, I just missed it. It happens, right? Don't beat yourself up about it. There's times where I've been waiting for a trade that's like on a trend, just riding it up. I'm like, okay, I'm still waiting for the sell. Like, this thing has been up here riding it for a while. When is it going to finally drop? Right? 10, 15 minutes maybe. And then as soon as I like get the least bit distracted to respond to a DM or whatever it is, right, I miss my entry. And I'm like, oh, maybe if it pulls back, it didn't give me a pullback, it just starts tanking, right? Well, it happens. Don't beat yourself about it. There's more trades coming, right? So now, let's see. I want to make sure I answer the question fully. So by looking at the RSI, it definitely helps me, right? I tend to like to have a line drawn in the RSI at a midpoint, right around that 50 range. And the reason why I like to do so is because, as we know, the RSI starts for the relative strength index, right? So as you guys can see, if you see the RSI ever shoot down crazy, if you look up, it's a pretty decent sized candle. If you tell me it's not a little baby one, it had some massive momentum on the downside, right? So for me, if I in any trade see, hey, you know what, this one didn't really cross up, this one did, it's right at support, I have my other confirmations, the only one that didn't do it was the stochastic, am I still clear? Well, if it shot below here, as you guys can see, the RSI dropped below that. Even if I would have waited for a pullback, I probably would have not gone in, right? Because it went below and I didn't have my stochastic as a full confirmation, right? If I get a pullback and if I'm trading, let's say, for example, on a 1 minute time frame, if I'm already about that midway point, right? Or if it's a 3 minute trading, you're around 1 minute and 30 seconds into a trade, that's when I'll make the decision, right? If I get the pullback that I want and it's initially at or around the price that I initially wanted to enter, right? So for example, right here, let's see, you see it's touched twice at 780 and I'm like, oh, I'm away, I missed it, I want the sell, because we see the sell is coming, right? And I'm like, oh, and then it finally pulled back up, right? 777, sheesh, lucky number, right? 777, right? That would have been my entry point, because that's a good enough pullback. For me, for it to be qualified as a good pullback, it has to be higher, at least 10 double, right? So if it's at 64, I would at least want it at 74 to feel like I have a good wiggle room. If it pulls up 1 or 2 micro pips, I mean, come on. You can lose by 1 or you can take a lesson by 1 or 2 micro pips. So 10 pips makes me more comfortable, right? As a pullback. Initially, obviously, 780 would have been better. But initially, that's one of the ways I do it. If I see that it's kind of just moving sideways, that's another red flag to know, you know what, even if it took off, I would have not wanted to, that next candle would have been the one to take me right out or having to roll over. If that makes sense, let me know. So that's how I know when to know the entry. If it's more than halfway of the overall time that I have left, and if the RSI is below that midway line on the RSI, especially because the stochastic moves a lot slower. Sometimes it still happens, right, where it could continue to drop and the stochastic is finally crossing, which is amazing, right? You just have to really just test with what you feel comfortable with. For me, if it's midway mark and it's below that, I just wouldn't take it. I would just wait for another setup. Do you send trading signals to your team? I do not. And they could vouch for that. They want to. They want so many trading sessions, but I leverage the products. I leverage the academy a lot, because I know what I received by leveraging it. If I only leveraged Millie 24/7, I would still be just leveraging Millie 24/7. If I only leveraged Nez, right, Zoom calls, then I would still only be attending to Nez's sessions, right? No, it took me really, guys, all-nighters. And I'm talking about hundreds of trades, dollar trades, back testing till I became comfortable. I put in the time. I knew the money is coming. It was coming regardless, right? I just knew that this was my stepping stone to be able to start seeing it flow in and the quantum leaps of abundance that I wanted. Right? So no, they don't get signals. They leverage just the go lives. How much do you recommend to start an account? 250. You don't need more. I mean, the minimum to get started. I've even done it off of pocket options and used it to fund, help people start off with pocket option with $50, get enough for 250, make a withdrawal and start off the race option, just because I like the setup a bit more and having the option of the rollover button as well. How many times do you recommend to trade a day? It all depends on your trading goal, right? For me, coming in, it was to match my income within 6 weeks, because that's the amount of time I had left for baby bonding after having my son. So for me, I was on crunch time. I needed results fast, so that's why I spent a lot of all-nighters, really back testing at $1, and still went through and blew through 7 accounts within all those 6 weeks. So that was a heart attack. That one was hard to come back from, right? Blowing, I think it was roughly 5 accounts at that time. I blew 5 accounts at that time, and since then just done 2. I haven't blown an account in a while and don't plan to. So definitely, guys, you can start off, I would say, if you're new, once a day, right? Find an educator you really feel like you could connect with. You like their vibe, right? Really make this exciting for yourself, and then really start getting a feel for it on your own, right? I would do 1 go live session. I would do about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour on the academy, if you're still doing the academy, and then after that, rewatch the go live sessions and take notes, right? Because there might have been that one thing on a previous go live session that the educator didn't mention on that particular session, right? And that could have been that one key thing that you needed. So definitely, even if you miss a go live session, still repeat it. You can always walk away from value from each and every single one of these calls. Let's see. So yeah, you can start off with 1. What I did in that time to have that abundance of flow in 6 weeks was that I did every trade 3%, right? I started off at 3% of my account, and then I kept trading. For me, Millie was like, stick to 3 to 5 trades and you're done, call it a day. And I was like, Millie, that's not going to get me where I need in 6 weeks, right? So I was not coachable, but I learned my lessons. That's why you blew 5 accounts. But I had to take my stripes, right? So initially, I kept trading until I took 1 loss, then I would walk away. Then I would hop on the next session, right? I would hop on a go live session. Let's say I was trading on my own. I went 5-1, took my 1 lesson. I'm done. I'm not even trying to make it up. If I then hopped on a go live session and my first trade was a lesson, then I'm done. I would wait for another educator session or to start trading on my own again. Then I would take another lesson. So I was doing it about maybe 3 times a day. And then I went on to doing it 1 time a day, just a longer session over the night. So as I was like putting my son to sleep, I would start trading. And I would do that for about like 3 hours. And then, because I would do London session a lot. And then after that, just now I do it maybe once or twice a day, just depending if I randomly see it when I open it. Now let's see, do you send when putting your support and resistance, what time frame do you use? So I start off with the 5-minute, right? I like to kind of see it more on the 1 minute. It looks a bit crazy. You can even honestly go up to the 1 hour just because you catch the waves at a much nicer rhythm, honestly, right? So even just from like looking at here, I have nothing jotted, but I know where the market's been and where it's going. I could see just the pattern in itself right here, right there, and I could see another one right here, right? So roughly I go down to a 15-minute time frame, boom. It looks a bit crazier, but hey, you can then start breaking it down. I like to go down in increments, right? That's how I'm start off usually at the 1 hour, because then it's a lot of increments. So I start at the 5, right? And then I'm like, oh, look, well, there's another support and resistance right here. I have another one right around here, right? So there's no right or wrong. You see some educators put like blocks because they're like, okay, if it comes from between here to here, then I know that I can get into that trade, right? I just put another line. I mean, it's just kind of what you like. And honestly, guys, that's how I do it. And then I come down to the 3-minute and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it won't go all the way up because it actually had a resistance there. So you start messing around with it at different time frames, right? And then finally I get to the 1, and that's precisely where I really chart up like crazy, right? Because you're seeing so many more moves at a much higher pace, right? So then I'm like, okay, there's another line. So that's how I do it. But I usually start at the 5-minute and then work my way down. And guys, there's no right or wrong numbers of support and resistance lines that you can use. It's whatever feels comfortable for you. I don't care if it looks crazy to somebody else. It's making me money, and it is what it is, right? Whatever you feel comfortable with it. Gerald says, I don't get it. What is it that you don't get? 3% of the account. Not sure what you mean. If you could specify. That was my question. How often does someone study this? Couple days, 1 or 2 hours? Yeah, honestly, guys, it's just a matter of how fast you want results. If you really want to 10x, like you want to blow your account in a good way, right? You really want a 10x, like you're talking about a $250 account right now. You want that 10x, right? You want $2,500 in the next 30, 60, 90 days. You're literally talking a minimum of 1 to 2 hours every single day. That's nothing if you want to 10x it. That's nothing if you want to 10x it. Why is that? Because as you learn here, you're earning. Almost 90% of the time, almost at any given time, there's a freaking educator, and there's not. You could rewatch a Go Live session, and by doing the analysis, if you're looking at a real-time setup, you could kind of guide yourself. That's what I did a lot. I watched their moves. I didn't trade every Go Live session. I studied the educator. I studied and saw what they really looked at. So then I can start seeing things in a clearer light. Remember this, you guys will take a value away from the educational videos. You're going to take some value away from the actual educators. You're going to take some value away from your mentor. You're going to take some value away from myself. What makes you now? What does that make you now? Even more valuable. Because now you're going to twist it. Now you're going to add your own sauce and flavor to it. I'm a very bland person. I don't like all the pico de gallo and all this other stuff, right? Onions and cilantro. It's not that I don't like it. It's not for me, right? That's why I simplified the simple scalper. I didn't add the Bollinger Bands. I didn't add the EMA. I didn't add the parabolic dots because it was a lot to the eye, especially trading. Because I sat there asking, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I have the 6 confirmations. Now I can go in. Sheesh, I missed my entry. Or damn, I went in too early because I didn't wait long enough. Right? So I definitely will say it's worth the investment. You're learning and earning at the exact same time. You were explaining something with the indicator at the bottom. With the RSI, I did mention, someone said, when do I know if it's too late to still get into a trade? I usually chart up my RSI. I do it like right at the 50 point because it's midway. So whether it's a buy or a sell, if the RSI moves 10 times faster than, so mommy, can you go see where your brother's at? Ven, papi. No tiene shoes. Come here, papa. So essentially from here, guys, you see, as you guys can see, right? The stochastic is barely dropping down, but yet the RSI has done a bunch of other things, right? So initially for me, knowing this midpoint line, I would then have my confirmation of knowing, hey, this shot down, because sometimes you will have, right, candles where it shoots up. Look at it right here. Perfect example. We see on the RSI, you have your cross up, right? First confirmation. Yet the stochastic is not ready just yet, right? So how do you know if it's still too late? This is actually a perfect example. I actually love it, right? So initially, guys, by looking at this, right? We're looking at this candle, blue candle right here. I'm actually going to go ahead and circle it. this little blue candle right here, not so little. And the reason why is because someone asked, how do I know when it's too late or not to get into a trade? Well, first of all, there's a lot of factors that come in. So you have so many indicators that are coming into play that you don't need to put so much emphasis on the stochastic, right? You have your support and resistance. You have your currency strength meter, which if you guys don't use it, I highly recommend for you guys to use it, because it helps me a lot, right? Just to know if these currencies are indicating, for example, euro odd, euro is leading, I know this is for a buy. But yet if I'm looking at the markets for a sell and it's currently on a downtrend, I mean, hold on, that didn't make sense. Sorry guys, I'm on when I need to eat. So guys, let me reiterate that. Let's say I'm looking at euro odd for a potential sell, right? It's currently caught in an uptrend and I'm looking for a sell and it's indicating a buy. Well, obviously my probabilities of getting that sell probably won't come until a very long time, until the meter actually switches up or the market actually gives me a good momentum, right? So that's a good indication to know too, how to avoid getting trapped or getting faked out, right? So initially by this one, we can see by looking at the RSI, right? We had our breakthrough, right? For those of you who are starting, these are the indications you need, the confirmations you need for the simple scalper strategy, right? I honestly used support and resistance, stochastic, and RSI, and the currency strength meter. That's all I use. 4 confirmations. All I need is 3 to get in. 4th one solid, right? So now by looking at this, I know that the price came down and hit my support, right? This makes it a very solid line of support, right? My floor, where price has constantly touched and rebounds, right? And I could see it time and time again. Before, it was actually a resistance. Look at this. How many times did it come up and resist? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, too many times, 7. And then it turned into a support. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 is the minimum I need in order to take a trade. To feel confident that that's a solid point of entry, I need a minimum of 3 touches. I don't care if it's previously been a resistance or if it was a support, whatever case it is. 3 touches signifies to me a strong entry point. Where price, it does something to price, where price always reverts to the opposite direction, right? So as we can see here, it came down. So that led me my first indication. Second indication was my RSI. We can see here, even though it was a slight cross, but I had my cross. My stochastic wasn't ready just yet. So in this factor, I would have been like, USD CAD. Let's go ahead and look at USD CAD. Boom, USD CAD. USD is higher than CAD, indicating that it goes for a buy, right? So that gives me 3 already, giving me the red line, knowing that stochastic is just moving a bit slower. All I need is 3 confirmations to have the clear. So here, I know it's just a matter of time by going in that the market will continue to move up, because that's what the strength meter is indicating. It's not going to randomly just tank. Be aware of the strengths of these currencies. It will help you in the long run to avoid getting caught in trends. Now we can see here, boom, I would have went in. Where would have been my entry point? Where I see a wick, it wicked out here. That looks like a comfortable place, and boom, it's resisted right around opening and closing of candles. So then to me, it would have been ideally 699. Obviously, it might have differed slightly a bit on race option, right? It could have probably been 700 or 699 right on the spot, right? So by looking at that, right, I know, for example, here, if the market drops down again, I have my confirmations. I'm taking USD CAD for a buy. It's a strong line of support. So here initially, I know even if it was up here already, it was still not at my midpoint line, right? So at the, if for whatever reason, let's say I didn't get in and this came down, right? Boom, got into a pullback, maybe would have rolled over twice, right? Your entry would have ended there. Your exit point would have been here. Unless depending on how many times you rolled over, right? But if you would have caught the position here with your 3 confirmations, you would have been solid. The market is still going up. It's still not at your 699 entry point. It's coming. It always gives you a second, multiple opportunities to get the same entry. As you guys can see here, boom, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is coming. So you miss one, don't sweat it. It's coming. You get paid to wait, right? So now let's go ahead and see here. Any more questions? Wow, your comeback and from Boma counts amazing. Glad you didn't quit. Yeah, I quit once. It was a definite hard lesson. 1 year ago, I was not in IM Academy. um, it sucked to say the least. I still kept trading, right? Never lost the passion, behind trading. But definitely missed teaching it and educating others. And initially, I think that's what really drove me back to the academy. And you get on the same frequency of wanting something so bad, and randomly Millie hit me up one day and was like, yo, what's going on? And I'm like, trading. I was literally trading at that time that she called me, and she's like, yo, it's crazy. I'm like, the universe works in freaking insane ways, right? But I was now at a 9-to-5 job. Ended up quitting 6 months after and came back to IM, guys. It's amazing what you can honestly do within this academy. Let's see. Strength meter helps me a lot too, definitely. How do you know where the support line is? So there's a lot of education. So how do I know where to draw lines? Sorry, guys. I have a almost 2-year-old and he's in that phase. So for me to know, it honestly doesn't take a lot. Like I said, if you're starting off, start off on the 1 hour, right? All you're really charting up is highs and lows. Where have you seen it kind of repeatedly touch, right? The market does constant patterns over and over again, right? So make sure, for example, here, I'm looking at the market. Yes, this had a wick, but I'm seeing that the body of this one matches the body of that one. So this is when you guys will notice some educators go like this. I think it is. I don't know. I've never done it before. Yeah, when they do something like this. Oh, shoot. Hold on, guys. Perfect. So you'll see some educators do something like this. Why is that? Why is that some educators do that? Well, the reason is because they know that between the body of here, the body of the previous one, right, and that empty space in between that gave me a wick, if I would have gotten anywhere from 298 to 584, well, 574, I mean, 298 to 574, any between, I know it's a lot of pips because I'm looking at the 1 hour time frame, but anywhere in between that range that I would have had a pullback in my confirmation skew, that would have been a good entry between anywhere above at least 298. That's what you hear some educators say. If you get an entry position at 298 or better or higher, go for it. Go ahead and enter for this position, right? It's because it's within that range. And now obviously if you drop it down to a 15-minute time frame, right? Let me go ahead and actually zoom out to see where it's at, right? You see that it respects that. It respects that. So drawing, lines of support and resistance, honestly, I just see, okay, I see it came down here. Oh, look, this one looked like it came right around there. Oh, this one did too. And then this one did too. So boom, I'm gonna draw a line right there, right? Remember, support is your flooring and resistance is like your roof, right? Trap the market in between the roof and support. It's game. It's game, right? We can see the market's moving in here. You can honestly make smaller ones, right? You can make one right there. Trap it in even smaller frame, right? You want even something smaller, you can honestly trap it down there, right? Whether you want top or bottom, it's your choice, right? And like I said, support and resistance, as many lines as you guys feel comfortable with. There's no right or wrong answer, right? So with that being said, fam, sheesh. I feel like that was a good, good questions for sure. For someone, especially if you were new, I definitely hope you guys were taking a lot of notes, a lot of notes, right? Even myself, I still take notes. I still really sit there and say, do I really understand this to a point where I can explain it? That's when you know you've mastered something. And I still don't even consider myself mastering anything. Because every time, every day, there's something new that I still learn, especially if you take a lesson. And if I take a lesson and I do not know why, I will sit there and do the analysis once more, right? And find out what went wrong. Because only from then can I grow. Only from then do I then understand the lesson differently. And I don't see it as a loss. I see it as a lesson. I paid my tuition, I got a lesson, and now I'm excelling. I'm elevating at the next trading session, right? So guys, I'm excited. 2021. Sheesh, I cannot wait for all of you guys to hit 6 and 7 figures. It's yours. You control the momentum. Remember, success loves speed, but remember to be disciplined, consistent, and you guys got this. At the end of the day, you guys have the best that there is out there to be successful. Use it, leverage it, apply it, run with it. The game is over. With that being said, fam, have a blessed rest of your Monday evening. We're about to hop off this one because the next call is coming in hot with Manny and Angie. So guys, make sure to disconnect from here and let's go ahead and get connected to that call. Have a blessed one. I'll see you guys all on next Tuesday's call. Bye-bye.